as rightly, it is time for our panel discussion on building the AI-powered enterprises. Well, intelligence might be artificial, but the trend is real. AI has truly emerged as one of the most promising and in-demand capabilities for achieving any number of goals, from enabling now and different offerings to improving speed, quality, and efficiency of the existing products and services. Wouldn't you agree on that? Well, this panel discussion will discuss on how the application of AI is profoundly changing the way the world and the business works. We're looking at talking about identifying the processes that need to be automated and defining business needs, setting up interdisciplinary teams and center of excellence, which is COE, and the training models and metrics. Well, for this, we're joined by our eminent panelists. First up, I'd like to call on the stage and screen Peter Lee, Head of Customer Loyalty, Payment and Big Data, plus Malaysia. Well, Peter has an extensive experience in big data, strategic marketing, analytics, open payment, as well as development, implementation, and operations of digital and business transformation programs. Thank you so much, Peter, for joining us today. Great to have you, Peter. Well, with this, I'd now like to invite on the screen Carol Hargreaves, the Director of Data Analytics Consulting Center, National University of Singapore. Well, Carol has an experience in leading teams of analysts to solve multidisciplinary real-world data science problems. She's somebody who's taken charge of multiple innovation projects in pharmaceutical, healthcare, telecommunications, and FMCG industry. Thank you so much, Carol. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.
Joining now on screen is Raymund Patrick Ramos, the AVP Business Transformation Officer, Metro Pacific Tollways Corporation. Well, Raymund is currently the Assistant Vice President on the Business Transformation for Metro Pacific Tollways Corporation, the focus of which is on implementing digital transformation programs. With this, I'd now like to welcome Raymund on the screen. Thank you so much, Raymund, for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
Now joining, ladies and gentlemen, on the screen is going to be Joshua Arvindlad, the Chief Technology Officer, NuWorks Interactive Labs, Inc. Well, for years, he's somebody who's been sharing his knowledge in several conferences and events to discuss practical strategies for companies and professionals. He's also an AWS machine learning hero and serves as a subject matter expert in machine learning and machine learning engineering. Thank you so much, Joshua, for joining us today.
Thank you too. Nice to meet everyone.
Likewise. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my time to introduce to you the moderator of this session, who is Alex Ustaris, the Group CIO, Hijo Group of Companies. Well, his scope includes the technology portfolio of digital transformation, innovation, IT, OT, smart agri, smart manufacturing, as well as shared services, business units of supply chain management, financial services, and digital business services. With this, I'd now like to welcome Alex on the stage and screen. Thank you, Alex, for joining us.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here.
Likewise. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, you've got the great set of panel. What incredible energy right now on the screen. And we'd now request Alex, of course, to take it forth with this panel. But if you do have any questions, please type it up in the Q&A section. We will take it up at the end of the session if time allows. With this, Alex, all yours with your panel.
All right. Hello again, everyone. The panel topic right now is building AI-powered enterprises. So we will basically cover the following agenda: identifying processes that need to be automated, defining business needs, setting up interdisciplinary teams and centers of excellence, and machine learning models and metrics. So for the first question, this is for Raymund. From a business transformation perspective, how do you identify and prioritize processes for automation? Do you do the back office processes first, or do you prioritize customer-facing operations?
Thanks, Alex. So let me give a quick background on how Mptc is embarking its transformation journey. We started off in having that strategic vision. So everyone needs to be enrolled and onboarded in that end state. followed by establishing those different pillars of priority. So we needed these pillars to ensure that initiatives will have proper focus, right resourcing, business sponsorship across all levels in organization. So we need everyone to be on board from top to bottom. And part of these pillars are improving on our customer experiences or experience, making our core enterprise processes efficient, and hardening our digital foundation. On top of that, we needed to establish a governance structure where ideas, improvement, and automation requests and projects are dealt with. So that is the process, or that is where we do the prioritization, understanding the impact to our customers internally and externally. And with those, we are identifying those pain points from the customer and pain points from our employees during the back-end processes. It started off by drawing that customer journey, how our customers are using our products, how our customers are traversing to our main product, which is the expressway, and the other requirements or the other needs of that customers in that journey. And of course, Alex, as you have asked, how do we identify processes? It's really pounding on the pain points. What is the pain point of the customer when he starts his journey from home to his destination? Is it congestion? Is it safety? Is it peace of mind? So all of those are considered as key enablers or key parameters in doing prioritization. As I am saying, though it looks like we are really focusing on customer experience, but how we are addressing those or how we are improving those has an impact to our internal organization. So it goes hand in hand in terms of doing or prioritizing or maybe mobilizing that specific initiative. It's triggered by customer, it's assessed with internal process, and we try to do it both at the same time, given that we have focused resources on that.
All right. Thanks, Raymond. So basically what you're saying is that there may also be back-end pain points that can be addressed to also improve customer experience. So basically you have a governance structure that looks into those pain points and identifies prioritization. Thank you. Now I have a follow-up question for Carol. Raymond talked about pain points, customer experience, being the source of customer engagement improvements using AI for their customers going through the tollways. In your experience, Carol, what other benefits can customer engagement derive from faster and smarter business processes using AI?
Okay, yes. I'd like to start off by saying that customer engagement benefits both the business as well as the customer. And through the many interactions that the customer has with the business, we would find that the business will get to understand the customer better. And through its AI systems, it will understand when the customer is online. It will understand what are the products that the customer is interested in. It will understand which channels the customer actually interacts with the business. Based on this AI information that the business obtains, the business is then able to approach the customer at the right time with the right product and the right price. So in this case, the customer experience is truly improved and enhanced. On the other hand, for the business itself, I would say that the business also gains in terms of customer engagement, because the business will actually get feedback from the customer and insights from the customer through the interactions and engagement with the customer. And it's this feedback and interaction that the business gets from the customer. The business can then improve their marketing material. And this enhanced marketing material can actually boost the branding of that company. And the resulting effect is that this boosted branding of the company also will get more customers to buy the business's products. The customer will also have more loyalty and trust in the business through the high interaction levels. And the resulting effect for the business itself would be that its sales funnel velocity will increase. So overall, with the AI system, you'll find that the customer will benefit because they will be introduced to new products at a good price and products that are relevant for them. And you'll find that on the business end, the business will also score because through the customer gaining trust and loyalty, you're going to find that the customer will like the brand of the business and will buy more.
Thank you. So basically, what you're saying, Carol, is that through differentiated customer experience powered by AI, the business can improve its branding and really differentiate its branding among the competition. Right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So my next question is for Peter. Peter, you've been handling customer loyalty, payments, and big data. Does it not make better sense to focus on automation on customer processes? Can AI and advanced analytics provide engaging customer experiences? In Zoom? Okay. I'll just proceed to the next question while all right. Okay. Let's proceed to a related question actually, which is for Joshua. We've been talking a lot about AI powering customer experience and also back-end processes, right? Eventually, an organization may find itself really building a lot of AI-powered applications, customer journeys. So how do you prepare to scale your AI and machine learning, also your advanced analytics, Joshua?
Oh, yes. Thank you for that. Regarding scaling, there are actually several phases for that one. So the first phase would definitely involve making sure that the solution that you're building will actually work. So there's the proof of concept phase where you get approval first, because before you get something executed, you need to get approval on the budget, the timelines, and so on, because you will need to allocate resources to get that piece of work to be deployed. And then the second phase would be implementation and a bit of scaling, preparing it for scale. So here's the tricky thing whenever we deal with these projects. In some cases, when people are given the instruction to prepare a proof of concept work, they will just try to rush things and they will not prepare a solution which is available or scalable. It just it will work for a smaller example, but once you need to scale it, it will not scale right away. So choosing the right tech stack is critical. So if you can select a tool for a company that helps you with your data engineering and machine learning engineering requirements, from POC, from proof of concept up to scaling, then that's the game plan. And in my current company right now, we have used, for example, SageMaker in one of our internal projects to automate something. So I cannot disclose everything, but what I've done there is that when I was doing some research 2 to 3 years ago, because I'm already familiar with SageMaker, you can start with a small example with SageMaker, something cheap. And then when you have to scale with some configuration work, you can automatically scale it and have other features as well. So if you guys want to check more about SageMaker, I actually wrote a book about it. So if, let's say, you have a custom machine learning code and you want to port it to SageMaker, POC work, you would be able to get that to work already. And once you need to scale, given that SageMaker is hosted in the AWS cloud, for example, with a few lines of code, you may be able to auto-scale the deployed endpoint. So in terms of like cost management, auto-scaling would help reduce the cost. If you want to optimize the cost spent for training the model, it's just one line away, and so on. So at least having that proper transition from proof of concept up to scaling, the tech stack is actually critical for it. So if you can look for that kind of solution in your team, that would help solve the problem. And finally, the second part in scaling would be the people part of things. In addition to the tech part, which is critical, the other 50% would involve people. Because if they don't have an idea on the overall game plan, then they might execute something wrong, or they might just try to not be able to push through and have a follow through approach in what you are trying to execute. So yeah, people and tech, that's critical to scale the entire thing. Back to you.
Right. Thanks, Joshua. So basically, the POC is the go, no go point. And, you also make sure that, you take a look at the tech stack, the solution stack, to understand the scale, if the solution is scalable. And then, lastly, you look at people readiness, and that includes, an understanding of their awareness and their buy-in, so that you'd know that they'll be ready to take the next steps to scale, right? It's not only the solution that needs to scale, but also the surrounding people around, that supports the solution, that uses the solution, right? I also want to share that one other scale component that I found to be of great importance when planning for AI and advanced analytics implementation, particularly machine learning. You have to make sure that you have a robust and agile data infrastructure in place. I think that's one of the fundamental elements of a scalable AI and advanced analytics ecosystem. So, I just wanted to share that. Right. Thank you again, Joshua. Is Peter back? Peter, are you back? Hello, Peter? We still can't hear you, Peter.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, better.
Yeah, okay, finally.
Right.
Thank you. So sorry, apologies for this issue, right? So thank you very much, Alex. Apologies for the delay and etc. So I think just want to share, right? From Plus Malaysia, we are actually the biggest highway operator in Malaysia. We share the same sentiment like Raymund, which is a Philippines highway as well. So I think the key thing, like what Joshua, Raymund, as well as Carol was saying just now, our key focus is on our customers. So what we did in applying all these processes, in leveraging our big data, analytics, etc., we actually build an end-to-end customer lifecycle. So this is the key for us to guide us, not only from the operation point of view, but also from our commercial deliverables to our customers. So the customer lifecycle will be our key pillars. We try to analyze how the customer come to us from using our highway and other services along our highway as well. I mean, those that actually stop by at our rest area to purchase food, or even go into other services, like now we are introducing new mode of payment, as well as new technologies like RFID and etc. So what we did is that the automation that we put in place is, of course, to leveraging on understanding the customer behavior. And in each pillar of each category of the life cycle that the customer has, we actually define what are the initiatives of the personalized offer that we actually push to the customer in fact. So just want to share, in the recent 1 year, as we all know, we are caught in this COVID-19 pandemic, and our business not been spared as well. Yeah, so our traffic is also been impacted due to this pandemic. As we are trying to contain the spread of the virus, so the traveling along our highway is also reduced. So what we did throughout this period is that we continue to keep our customer engaged. We are trying to find new avenues to actually reach out to the customer. For instance, we provide a periodic update of the progress of how we actually manage the pandemic at our highway as well. So we continue to give up-to-date news on the progress that we have to our customer. as well as we introduce new features and offering to them. For instance, to avoid our customer going to have a lot of physical interaction with our business partner at the rest area, we actually provide pre-order features within our Plus mobile app. So how does it done is that our customer who wish to buy food can actually order the food before they reach the rest area, and they just drop by at the rest area and pick up the food and they can eat in their car. So this is how we actually innovate through all the data or analysis that we have, and be close, the keywords that be close to the customer needs. So as we progress, no matter what time or what period, what situation we're in, there's always a big opportunity for us to leverage on what we know about the customer behavior and try to fulfill their needs as we go.
You more than made up for the technical glitch. Great answer, Peter. So I just wanted to synthesize, the key points. You draw up the customer journey so that you can fully understand customer behavior, and customer behavior for you is not just what they need when they travel through your highway, what their direct needs for your from your business, but your customer behavior also involves their other needs. For example, their need to eat. So what you did was to improve as a sort of differentiation for customer engagement. You've included in your mobile app some ordering functionality, food ordering functionality. And that sounds like a very innovative way of doing, improving your customer engagement. Thank you, Peter. Now, I have a question for Carol again. Carol, you're among many things, huh? You're a data science expert. So how can an organization start a data science practice? And in maturing data science as a practice, how do you align interdisciplinary teams and centers of excellence with organizational structure?
Okay, so firstly, there's no one right way to start a data science practice. And I would say that the organization needs to be open to change, to transformation, in order for the data science practice to be successful. And my suggestion would be to involve the whole company through educating, firstly, all the employees in data literacy. In other words, help them to understand the value of data science and to share with them use cases that the employees will understand, the use cases that are relevant to their day-to-day jobs and relevant to their industry. And I know, and we know, that many organizations have lots of problems, and also that they have to make many data-driven decisions each day. So my suggestion is that within an organization, there should be smaller teams. Practically, maybe in every department, there should be these small teams who actually brainstorm and then come up with a list of problems in their department or data-driven decisions that the department has to make. And then within these small teams, it should be cross-disciplinary. There should be a data scientist, a knowledge worker, someone who understands the day-to-day problems on the ground, and also product managers and IT managers, etc. And it's through this cross-disciplinary team is that a solution that's innovative can result, because different people in the small team will see the problem from a different point of view, which means the solution will be more holistic. Next, I would say that the projects that they've identified through the brainstorming should be looked at in terms of how important is this problem and how urgent is the problem. And then look at if it's important but not urgent, or not important but urgent, or not important and not urgent. And then rank these projects and start with the project that is the low-hanging fruit, the one that you can easily be successful. And if the data science practice can then also, once successful, share their success with the entire organization. This will again enhance the motivation of all employees to also try and innovate within their department. Many organizations, you mentioned about Center of Excellence. Center of excellence is also to be able to improve how departments work or how the organization works. And their main goal is to innovate and to drive improvement. So I would say these centers of excellence should take people from the organization that are experienced, right, and are able to make decisions in terms of strategy, because it's not only about what's happening now, the problems that are now, the decisions that have been made now, it's also about looking forward. And AI is the perfect opportunity to be able to see what is going to happen in the next 1 month or the next year. And through the AI systems, you'll be able to then better understand whether it's product sales or whether it is how you can minimize the cost. The Center of Excellence can then look and compare how this department is doing in terms of its performance, and compare the departments that are performing well with those that are not performing well. And of course, those that are not performing well, to take action on them so as to move them and also get them to become departments that are performing well. Like too with the employees, the Center of Excellence should compare employees, those that are performing well and those that are not. And of course, to help those that are not performing well, provide them with the necessary tools and education so that they too will perform well. And I'd say my last point would be is that the Centers of Excellence typically is looking for best practices. So they would also do some research on other industries and look out internationally what is the best practices for their industry and for their departments, and then bring it into their departments, pilot it on some of the departments. If it's successful, then of course, move it across the whole organization. And in that way, you'll find that these Centers of Excellence is able to quickly innovate the company using best practices from within the organization and internationally.
Right, Carol, thanks. Great insights, great sharing. Just to synthesize some key points. You find that in most organizations, nobody decides to start data science practice, but perhaps there's someone who advocates for it, and then it all progresses from there. So I think you make an excellent point that in order for data science to catch traction, you have to keep that advocacy covering everyone, so that everyone will understand the relevance of AI and the use cases, right?
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps your experience is that you start building small teams that can brainstorm and make data-driven decisions. And you've also emphasized that it's important for those small teams to have interdisciplinary team members, so that different points of view can be shared, while at the same time if you organize small teams, you can also identify low-hanging fruits to show quick successes, right? The Centers of Excellence, you see that as a jump off point to innovate, basically a melting pot for making decisions on strategy, and it's quite important for these teams to be for them to be successful. It's important to improve, it's a team effort to improve performance, so no one gets left behind. Thanks, Carol.
Okay.
Now for a follow-up question, this time for Raymund. Sorry, I asked that already. No. Follow-up question for Raymund. What are some AI and machine learning best practices for Centers of Excellence that you can share with us?
Okay, thanks, Alex. For me, when we talk about Center of Excellence, it's really a cross-functional team, a group of people with different skills and knowledge about the business and about everything running outside the business. And in this group of people, there is a structure in a way that, and there's one common goal. For the case of Carol, which she mentioned earlier, is establishing the data science organization. In the case of Metro Pacific, Tollways, we are embarking on the transformation journey. Um, Maybe one of the, or a few of the best practices that I can say is, well, establish a methodology. So on our part, as we are starting or continuously working on our transformation, we established some product lifecycle, project health check methodology, wherein ideation, analysis, and planning are key stages that all initiatives needs to go through. So this is where we identify and prioritize those use cases. For example, this is also where the Center of Excellence or the cross-functional team uh, to discuss and specify a solution towards addressing the problem or the pain point. And to the point of even, identifying the application or the technology needed in, making that process or making that problem go away. So after that, it's followed by build, operate, and continuous improvement and scale. And to link it to artificial intelligence, as mentioned by Joshua earlier, POC or the test bed is something that the organization needs to accept. The organization needs to realize that there are times, if not most, but there are some times that you need to fail to understand if that certain solution or design will really work, if that certain solution or design is scalable. And that is where that our methodology, health checks and life cycles come into play, where we don't give up on something immediately. We try to improve. We try to figure if it can scale as a permanent and a better solution. Now, on top of that structure, again, as I mentioned earlier, governance structure should be in place. The continuous business sponsorship and executive engagement should be there. Transformation, AI, machine learning, and even data science, these are not cheap solutions or strategies to go into. There is an investment involved, and those investments needs to be realized at some point in time. And the governance structure is there to make sure that whatever value we identify, it's value we will be creating or value created afterwards. And maybe another point that I can share is we are starting now in Mptc to establish standards, having our new CIO in place, putting in the right standards already on software development, those product life cycles, data architecture, and even enterprise architecture, enterprise IT management. Those are key foundations in starting this transformation journey, in starting shifting that mindset of the organization to a data-driven mindset or data-driven decision-making. And that is where AI comes into play in the next level. You have your data already because you were able to produce that, you were able to harness that, and you will use that data to train or feed that AI solution in the future to make it more scalable. Because we in Mptc, we don't believe that putting in much technology, but we're not harnessing or we're not hardening our data will lead us to success. That's my take on a few best practices, I think, for a center of excellence.
Thank you, Raymond, for sharing. You've shared a lot of best practices that you're applying in Metro Pacific Tollways. There's perhaps a couple or three of them that resonate. I think one is fail fast to learn fast. So you basically use an agile methodology. You also establish a product life cycle. I think that should go along well with the first one, fail fast to learn fast. Having a product life cycle and having regular periodic project health checks will ensure that you're well underway to completing the project, or at least the releases, and that keeps you in check as far as status and showstoppers are concerned, if there are any showstoppers. Perhaps as a third, best practice that you shared that I think also resonates with me is governance structure. That's something that we have to put in place at the very onset, and also maintain that governance structure to make sure that there is continuous executive support. And part of that executive support and maintaining that executive support is that under the governance structure, we should provide a process for value realization so that the value that the business is getting out of the projects, particularly projects applications being built on AI and advanced analytics, their value will be illustrated to the stakeholders, including the executive sponsors. Well, thank you for sharing again, Raymond. We're down to our last set of questions. This time I'd like to ask Joshua. You have been Chief Technology Officer of quite a few organizations, Joshua. Usually, technology executives have KPIs that are supported by metrics, which illustrate how technologies that are implemented are performing. So how do you align metrics with machine learning models? Is there a certain set of metrics that you find to be pervasively relevant to business?
Oh yeah, actually good question. So from my end, this is my own internal framework for it because there are a lot of metrics. You have to balance things out, and sometimes if you're quite new to this, for example, this would be confusing and tricky. From my end, what has worked for me this past 3 to 4 years, because at some point I was trying to figure out what the business really needs. So the first one would be having tiers, so primary and secondary, and maybe tertiary. If especially from my end, given that I've been a CTO for quite a while now, number one priority would be, especially on the top tier, would be the financial side of things. So financial side of things meaning how much is your team earning, how much can your team save, how much is the team spending for the employees, and so on. So all of those things contribute to the financial aspect, along with other things. The subscriptions, etc. The reason why I started with that one is that a lot of the other metrics that we have to deal with would directly or indirectly affect the financial aspect. So now, in my own personal framework, I would divide the initiatives into two things: the internal and external.
We've lost your audio.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Excited. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I divided into internal and external initiatives. External initiatives would involve clients, external clients outside of the company. And then internal initiatives, meaning these are internal projects. So usually the internal projects are there to help reduce costs. So sometimes making teams more efficient, sometimes trying to automate a certain set of processes. While the external ones would involve, okay, we have this machine learning solution or data engineering solution or machine learning engineering project for you, machine learning work. If we get more clients because of that, and if the clients are happy, then there are other metrics that say the CSAT score, customer satisfaction score, and also they would want to give more projects to your team because they trust that you can deal with the more complex requirements. So if you're trying to get clients, for example, it's not a one project thing. They will start with relatively small set of projects, and then when they feel that okay, the simple projects have been completed by your company, then they will start giving you the data engineering and machine learning related projects, and that would affect the primary metric, which is the financial target. The other metrics that I added, because from my end I was only given, let's say, 6 to 7 high-level targets, because that's what you're given from from an XCOM position, from a C-level position, so C-level, director level. So that you have metrics. Those are high level, and most of them, if not all of them, are not really technical in nature. So what I give to the managers reporting under me would be the more technical metrics that would contribute, especially on how to achieve the primary metrics I mentioned earlier. So one of the things that
I automatically add when preparing those set of KPIs would be when you're trying to build a system, it's not just about machine learning, it's engineering also. Meaning, let's say mean time between failures. So if your machine learning system is, let's say, super accurate, even if the machine learning metrics are super high, but the system always goes down, then that would affect the productivity of your team if it's being used internally. And if the team is not productive, then you would lose money for each second, because if, let's say, there's 10 people involved with this project and all of them require this project to be working all of the time, you would lose money if the system is not working, if it's all dependent on that one. The other things would include, let's say, zero security breaches. So it's not really a sort of metric, but it's a constraint, and adding it to the KPIs of the managers managing the systems would pressure them to would require them to have these systems in place, which is not just working but also secure in nature. Because the problem there is the data that's being used to train the machine learning model, for example. Most of the time, that's sensitive data. That's data that shouldn't be shared anywhere. So if there's a security breach, if your model gets stolen by an external user, by a malicious actor, then your company would lose money as well. So again, that would affect the primary metric. And lastly, in terms of trust, the customers would also lose trust in your company if there are security breaches. So like I said, there will be machine learning related metrics. That's good. If your customer or client requires those metrics to be above a certain threshold, then you would have to meet that. And then internally, you would have your own set of metrics, but I do feel that it's not just machine learning metrics, but a complete set of metrics that would touch the different aspects in the development journey of your company. Yeah, back to you.
Great sharing, Joshua. You basically, mentioned an extensive list of metrics, but basically your key point is that the metrics should be trickled down from business level KPIs and basically organized into a balanced scorecard where you have the financials, also process improvement metrics, as well as customer satisfaction metrics, right? So you also mentioned that you also come up with operational level metrics aligned with operational level agreements with with the operations with the business. So among that would be service availability metrics, security metrics, the typical IT service metrics. So I find that your sharing is quite extensive, but at the same time also relevant to the metrics discussion that we're having now. So given that it's better to understand all of the supporting metrics to keep AI relevant to the business. Okay, so I have a related question for Peter now. For customer engagement use cases on AI and machine learning, metrics do you find relevant, Peter?
Yeah. Okay. So I think Joshua has deliberate very detailed from the technical and operation point of view. But on my side, because we are focusing on customer as a priority in our business. So in fact, we actually set the customer satisfaction index as our corporate scorecard, which means that every single one of us is carrying that KPI. So the objective of us setting that kind of KPI, is not only limited to what capability that we can put in place, whether we use the best AI model or even you have to come up with the best data analytics to understand the customer. But eventually our company or our organization is measuring in terms of how much the customer impact to it. So of course we can build the best model in the world, but at the end of the day, if the use cases or the application of the model does not improve the customer's experience, then it actually defeats the purpose. So that's why the one of the main KPI that we measure, and we even get an independent agency to do the scoring on a yearly basis, where we actually track it very closely to ensure that every single initiative or everything that we do that go to our customer, we ensure that it does give an impact and improve the customer experience. Because we believe that as long as the customer's value is there, the customer experience is improved, and the rest will come into place, whether we want to expand or grow our business further into the future. So so in summary, one key metrics that we always focus on and track is the customer satisfaction index for our corporate scorecard.
Thanks, Peter. I think for AI, what you're saying is that customer satisfaction customer satisfaction index is still the best barometer to understand customer impact. While at the same time, perhaps we can also put measures in place to understand customer behavior based on system data. Is that correct? Yeah. All right. Thanks, Peter, for sharing. Now, I don't think there are questions from the audience. I got a chat message that there are no questions from the audience, right? So if there are no questions from the audience, let
Alex, there aren't any questions from the audience, so we'd request your concluding remarks as well, because we're coming towards the end of the panel. Thank you.
Right, yeah. Thanks, Baviana. Actually, I'd like to make a quick lightning round with everyone, with the four of you guys. I have a last set of questions, just a quick lightning round. How do you see AI maturing as a technology for your industry or sector in the next couple of years? What do you think will be a game-changing application for AI? Carol, would you like to go first?
Yes, the game changer for AI in the education industry for sure is that, one, the learner is able to learn whenever they want, where they want, and also how they want to learn. In other words, we have materials based on e-learning videos, we have materials based on book chapters, based on research papers, etc. And the student can choose how they want to learn. And so with that, the lecturer is also able to make assessments, because most of the learning is done, I would say, digitally. And because it's done digitally, the lecturer can actually make assessments digitally, automated, in other words, which means that whether the student answers an assessment through question and answer, true and false, fill in the blank, or even whether they have to do some odd coding or Python coding, we are able to actually assess that odd code, assess that Python code. We are also able, well, this is still in the pipeline, lots of improvements still, are getting to learn how to assess essays that students write. So that is where AI is a game changer moving forward. I'd also say that even so, the lecturer themselves, they will gain a lot more time, because the assessments are automated, and it'll have more time to produce better content for the student learning. And my final remark is that through AI, the education can actually be enhanced in the sense that the learner, the educator can actually see the student performance throughout their learning, and quickly be able to classify or determine which students are performing well, which are not performing well, which channel is producing the good learners, students performing well. And based on that information, for example, students who are not performing well, the lecturer can, in a timely manner, provide that student who's not performing well with additional material, and therefore prevent the student from failing, because that additional material will be relevant to that student's learning, the way they learn, and also the material that they have shown not to produce good results in, to further help them to learn those concepts. So yeah, we are looking forward to AI and the changes that it is, the way in which it's transforming education and learning.
All right, Carol, thanks for that extensive sharing. For the rest, I'd like to request just a single statement, to wrap up the lightning round. Raymond.
For the toll road industry, I think AI will play more on improving the safety of how cars will be traversing uh, in the roads, especially that driverless cars will be here and other futuristic technologies will be coming in. So that's where I see it right now.
Thank you, Raymond. Joshua, your one-liner.
Yeah, from my end, we're an innovation agency and we're dealing with a lot of projects. But to add to what we have right now is I would like to focus on just sharing on more on the quote unquote execution side of things, because there's a lot of machine learning discoveries this past couple of years. But if you think about it, the primary thing that's missing right now is more on ML ops. Because for one thing, even if the data scientists are able to prepare the models, in terms of like rolling it out in a company and having an automated pipeline, let's say doing retraining or something, that's kind of missing right now, not just here in the Philippines, but also globally. So yeah, that's where things are headed right now.
Thanks, Joshua. Peter, your one-liner.
Yeah, I think on our case, plus Malaysia, because we're a highway operator, so we are moving towards a highway of tomorrow. But at the end of the day, all this game-changing AI technology, etc., is revolving around the customer, be it from the customer value per se, or the safety, or anything that regards to the customer. So yeah, that's what we are looking forward to from Plus.
All right. Great sharing, guys. Thank you, Carol, Raymond, Joshua, and Peter. Also, thank you to Baviana. Have a good day, everyone. It's been fun and insightful. All right.
Thank you. See you
Thank
all.
you. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely, truly insightful. Thank you so much, Alex, for moderating. Thank you, Carol, Raymond, Joshua, and Peter for that incredible share.